Hi everyone, welcome once again to Elvis the Ultimate Fan channel, the channel that is devoted 100% to the life and career of Elvis Presley. Now the topic of today's video is about a romance between Elvis and Las Vegas showgirl Marilyn Evans that began in the spring of 1956 and went all the way up till the end of 1956. So here come the details. When a promoter telephoned Marilyn Evans in the summer of 1956 and asked her to join the chorus line at Las Vegas's New Frontier Casino, she could hardly contain herself. The teenager from Fresno, California, lived to dance. I thought it was probably the most sophisticated thing that had ever happened in the whole world, she said. She came to Las Vegas in its infancy, a relatively innocent place where the dancers enjoyed good pay, $135 a week. Between shows, the dancers would gather in an employees-only coffee shop within the casino. It was there that Elvis was performing nightly in the casino's Venus room. He walked in one night and sat at her table. Wow, Evans thought, he's beautiful. Really, truly. Within an hour, Elvis had slipped Evans a scrawled note on the back of a napkin. It read, "Can I have a date with you tomorrow night or before I leave?" Evans nodded in excitement and shock. He called backstage that night and set a time, she remembered. And so, for the next couple of weeks, she and Elvis explored Vegas, driving around, hanging out, and walking through the casinos. She wrote her mother a letter that began, "Don't flip, Mama, but I've become acquainted with Elvis Presley." Mama did flip, a little, that is, until Marilyn put the young star on the phone. "He seems like a very nice person," her mom informed the Fresno Bee in December 1956. When Elvis left Vegas at the end of his engagement, the couple kept touch by telephone. Then, one day, in late November, he called Marilyn and asked her to come to visit and stay at his home in Memphis on Audubon Drive. This was the house that Elvis had purchased in March of that year with the royalties from his first big hit, Heartbreak Hotel. Marilyn accepted his invitation. What does she remember most about the house? "I remember that the phone just rang and nobody answered it, which was odd," she recalled. In Memphis, Elvis and Evans spent their days riding motorcycles, going out to eat, and watching rented movies at Elvis's house, a luxury the girl from Fresno could hardly believe. He was relaxed, he was comfortable there, and at night she slept. Not with him, she was quick to add. He was extremely honourable. He was young, and I was young. On December the 4th, 1956, the couple, along with some of Elvis's friends, cruised around Memphis as usual. But on this day, Elvis stopped at Sun Studio, where he had made his first record only 3 years prior. Most Elvis fans know about the following event when Elvis dropped into Sun Studio towards the end of a Carl Perkins recording session. Jerry Lee Lewis was playing the piano on the session, and he joined with Perkins and Elvis for the jam session recorded by Sam Phillips. Johnny Cash dropped by whilst the jam was taking place. It was soon to become known as the $1 Million Quartet session. Halfway through the audio tape of the jam session, a female voice can be heard asking, "Would this Rover Boys trio sing Farther Along?" According to a newspaper article, the voice is believed to be Marilyn's, but other accounts credit Sam's secretary, Marion Keisker, with asking the question. Until recently, Marilyn had never listened to the recording session from that day in Memphis. But when she did, she quickly nixed the popular theory that she was the one who requested the song Farther Along. "That's not me," she said, as the female voice on the recording speaks with an obvious drawl. "I wouldn't pick up a southern accent that fast." And yet, in listening to the rest of the album from that day's session, she stumbled upon another female voice, this one requesting End of the Road. "That's me," she said. "It's like otherworldly," she said of hearing herself, "like an out-of-body experience." A Memphis newspaper photographer was called to record the historic gathering. The photographer, George Pierce, took 10 photographs that day, and let's begin with the only solo shot taken of Elvis that we know of that day. And we can tell that it was taken on that day because he is wearing obviously the same shirt and jacket as in the other photographs. And also just behind Elvis, you can see the acoustic paneling, which ties in with the Sun studio. The next photograph is probably the most famous of all the ones taken that day, and it appears almost every time there's an article or discussion or anything about this session. So this is the one showing all four of them: Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Elvis seated at the piano. So here's the third photograph, and it's often mistaken for the previous one, but if I switch between the two, you will see actually that Elvis has moved. Johnny Cash almost in exactly the same position, and this time Marilyn is included in the shot. Photo number 4 often appears in two versions. There's the first one, which is almost like a portrait format, and it includes Carl Perkins at the top left of the frame. And it's also sometimes shown in a landscape version with Carl cropped out, but this includes Marilyn this time. Photo 5 is a close-up of Elvis, and behind him you can clearly tell because of the jacket that that's Johnny Cash. Now he seems to have picked up Carl Perkins's guitar. In the next photo we have Elvis with Sam Phillips and Smokey Joe Bow. Smokey Joe had cut a couple of songs for Sun in 1955. In the next photo we see Sam Phillips and Elvis with the man who gave the session its name, Memphis Press Scimitar reporter Robert Johnson, standing to the left, and to the right we have Leo Soroka, a representative of United Press International. And here's another photo of the four of them in the control room of Sun Studio, and they all seem to be a little bit amused at what Leo is doing with Elvis's guitar. Here's just Sam and Elvis in the control room this time, with what looks like to be the same guitar that Carl Perkins and Johnny Cash were holding in the previous photos. And the final photograph shows them on the same spot in the recording studio control room, but they've discarded the guitar this time. "I remember the outfit I was wearing was all wool," said Marilyn. "A lot of water has passed under the bridge since then," she said. The fact that the session meant so little to her might explain the reason why she felt fine when the relationship faded a few weeks later. "I always preferred classical music," she explained. "We were just into different things, not that one's better than the other. It was great. I loved it. It was terrifically exciting and wonderful, but I had other things I wanted to do," said Marilyn, who the next year began attending the University of Utah. Asked why she never broadcast her brush with stardom, she said she never thought it was among her life's highlights. Today, Marilyn is interested in genealogy and divides her time between Carmel, California and Salt Lake City. She also continues to dance, and she runs her own belly dancing troupe. "It's pretty much the opposite of all my training, but I love it," said Marilyn. So there you go, that's the full story of the romance between Elvis and Las Vegas showgirl Marilyn Evans. I always feel a little bit sad when I hear these stories about romances that failed because of Elvis's fame and career. A little bit like the romance he had with Barbara Hearn, who I interviewed for this channel, and you can actually click on the link above for that interview and you'll hear why that romance ultimately failed as well. Don't forget to check out my other videos. I've also interviewed other people in the Elvis world, and they're all available on this channel. And also a reminder that we do live shows on Sundays when we do Elvis quizzes, Elvis Fan of the Month, interactive polls, This Day in Elvis History and all that. Oh, live fan chat, phone-ins. So you're quite welcome to join me every Sunday for that as well. And leave your comments about this video and thumbs up as well. And until next time on Elvis the Ultimate Fan channel, bye for now.